Hey guys, it's Mr. Butler over at Heatherglen. Today, we are going to be talking about Impressionism.
Are you talking to me?
What?
Are you talking to me?
No, I'm talking to these guys. We're going to learn
You
about
said you wanted
the
impressions.
Impressionists.
Tell me who this one is. Jonas.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about the Impressionists.
One more. Who's this?
Hey, Pluto, let's go see what Donald's doing.
It's Mickey Mouse, but that's not what we're talking about. I'm talking about the Impressionists, such as Monet and Impressionists.
Yeah, aren't those the guys that study and recreate voices?
No, actually, they're the guys that study and recreate light. The Impressionists were a group of guys that were fascinated by light. It could be said that they weren't even really painting the objects they were painting. They were painting the way that light bounced off those objects and the way that it changed at different times of day. In fact, they would often paint the same building or bale of hay over and over again during different light conditions just to see the different kinds of colors that they should use. Monet also did a number of indoor paintings called still lifes, where he focused on how light bounced off stuff like flowers and bowls of fruit, which is what we're looking at today. For this project, we're going to be using oil pastels. If you don't have pastels available, go ahead and click on the next video where I show you how to do the same project using crayons, scissors, glue, and construction paper. Just a quick reminder, oil pastels are kind of like paint, so don't wipe them on your clothes or your hands. We're going to start at the top by doing like a little parenthesis shape here on the left side. Then I'm going to rotate the paper over, and I'm going to make that same shape on the right. So you'll have a pair of parentheses. Then we're going to make a little hat on the top, kind of a curved line that goes across. Does not need to be perfect, because no piece of fruit is perfectly the same shape as the other. On the bottom side, we're going to do a little bit longer. You could either do a straight line or a line that slightly curves inward. Either one will work. On the bottom, we're going to do a very flat, kind of a curved bump on the bottom. One bump, two bumps. They're not going to be too deep. They're going to be curved, but almost perfectly flat. Up here near the top, maybe put a finger near the top, not very far down, just kind of underneath. You want a little smiley face kind of shape. Pretty small, pretty close to the top. Now I'm going to grab my red. I'm going to put a red smiley face right underneath the black, touching it but not on top, just to kind of make that smiley face a little thicker. Then I'm going to take my red and I'm going to put a thin red outline inside the black outline, and it's going to touch that black but not be on top. Okay, not very thick, just a thin red stripe. Now, in the middle, in this green area in the center, I'm going to make two more smiley faces. I'm going to come to the widest point of the apple at the top, just somewhere around in here. Big, wide smiley face. Then about halfway in between that smiley face and the bottom, I'm going to do another smiley face, just sort of in the middle. Okay? And you see how mine don't look perfect? Remember, it's a piece of fruit, so it's never going to look perfect. Now I'm going to take my white. As you can see, it's a little bit messy. So I'm going to just sort of spin it a little bit on my napkin. It doesn't have to be perfectly clean. I just wanted to get all of those darker colors off. If it's got a little bit, that's fine. So right up here, underneath our top smiley face, see the top part there that looks like a donut? We're going to come in between the little smiley face and the first big one, and we're going to come over here on the left side, and I'm going to draw a white diamond shape, like this big white diamond shape. And it's going to come about as far down. It's going to touch the little one on the top and the big one on the bottom. Just sort of a white diamond shape, like a white rhombus, which is a type of parallelogram, which is a type of quadrilateral. Now, up here, above our little black smiley face, I'm going to do a very thin white apostrophe shape. Just a little tiny one. Not as big as the rhombus. So you've got the big white diamond here and the little white apostrophe here. This one needs to be on the left side. This one needs to be on the top right. Now, I'm going to grab my yellow. Same thing. If it's dirty, I'm just going to kind of spin it over my napkin. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just want to kind of get all the gunk off of it. Now, next to my big white diamond, I'm going to do a yellow zigzag that goes all the way out to the edge. And if it's mixing with that red a little bit, that's okay. It goes all the way out to the edge. And now, right up here in this green area at the top, in between this yellow and the white, I'm going to put a little yellow stripe, like a little rainbow-shaped stripe. Just a little thin yellow arc. Now I'm going to grab my purple. Down here, in this bottom area between the very bottom of the apple and the lower smiley face, I'm going to color in purple, nice and dark. And again, it's okay if it mixes with the red just a little bit. Now it's time to make it look like an apple. So we're going to grab our red. Now, in the middle stripe, just in the middle, you're going to color solid red. Nice and thick, nice and dark. Don't push super hard, but push hard enough to make it dark. You don't want to break your pastel. And then up here in the top, anywhere you see just green from the paper left, you want to color in red. Try not to mix the colors in too much, but if you mix them a little bit, that's okay. Try to leave the white and the yellow alone. Just kind of color around it to cover up anywhere there's green. But again, if they accidentally mix a little bit, that's okay. Now, we're going to take the red and we're going to gently color over everything except for the white. So do not color on the white, but gently color over the yellow, just real softly. And I recommend this curved zigzags, just kind of gently color over the yellow. Curved zigzags, everything but the white. Color over this yellow gently. And even up here on the top, I'm just going to curve outward. Very gently. Everything except that white. And the same thing down here on the purple. I'm just going to gently color over it with red. Take the orange, and you're just going to sort of add some orange lines and strokes kind of all over it. It does not need to be solid orange, but just kind of color that orange on top of the red. And on top of the purple, just sort of cover it, because apples, believe it or not, we think of apples as being red. They're actually more of a reddish orange. Most oranges, the red ones. A lot of orange in their skin. Not so much the green ones. So right here where the white touches the color, this white diamond, I'm just going to gently go around that edge with orange, just so there's no green still showing through from the paper. Same thing up here. I don't want any green peeking through from the paper. Anywhere you see green, just hit it with some orange. So now I'm going to turn my picture sideways, and on the bottom, underneath the apple, I'm going to put a blue line real close to where it's touching that black outline. This is underneath the apple. And I'm going to come up here to the side of the apple. Maybe not all the way to the top, not at the very top, but just sort of down here, right at the widest part was. I'm going to put a couple of blue lines. That's going to be the horizon of the tabletop or tablecloth, whatever it's sitting on. And along the sides, outside the black outline, in between there, I'm going to add a blue outline. Okay, don't cover the black one up, but just going to follow it tightly with some blue, just so it's surrounded. And now for the rest of the table area, I don't want to color it solid blue. I'm just going to put some sideways lines. Just so it's mostly blue, but I'm going to leave some of that green paper peeking through. I want it to look like a non-solid texture. Some little sideways striped lines. So you're going to come to this bottom corner on the right side of the apple. I'm going to take my black, very, very softly. You're going to draw sort of like a flattened letter C, sort of a backwards C. It's going to come out halfway up the side of the apple there. I'm going to gently color it in with black. I don't want to press too hard. Not going for solid black, okay? Gently color it with black. And I'm going to use little swirls because you want the black pastel to mix with the blue pastel underneath, which is why you need to color in a different direction so it'll mix. It's almost like you're stirring it. So if you think you've made it too dark, you can go back over it, especially on the edges, with some more of the blue. Just swirl it, mix it together, so you get a nice soft blend. Come back in and soften it on the inside a little bit. You want shadows, especially on the very edges, to be fuzzy most of the time. It's very rare that a shadow has like a perfect edge on it. Shadows are usually fuzzy. And you can also add just a little bit of a fuzzy shadow line under the bottom edge of the apple. See where that black outline is? You can make that just a little bit wider, just kind of swirl it down to a little fuzzy line there to make it look like the apple's touching the table. Okay, if you want to. Now I'm going to take my blue right where the purple is, and I'm just going to add in a little bit more blue color. Just sort of swirl that in, blend it, make it slightly bluer. I'm going to bring that down all the way to the bottom edge there, because this is going to be a reflection of the table. Shiny objects reflect the things that are around them. So now I'm looking at it, I think it's a little bit too blue, so I'm going to go back over the purple there where it blends, just to sort of soften that transition between the red and the blue. Sort of warm that up just a little bit. And then I might even grab my red, just kind of blend that purple in to the red area a little bit, because we want a nice soft transition. So there's no harsh line in one spot. All right, now if you want to add an apple stem to the top, we're going to stop right above that little tiny smiley face. I'm going to do a curved line that rises up past the top of the apple. Then I'm going to go back to that same spot on the smiley face. I'm going to do a second black line, but this one's going to pull a little bit wider at the top. Not much, just a little bit. And then if you want, right in between them, very softly add a little stripe of brown. And just to be perfectionist, I'm going to take my yellow now, and just in random spots here and there, I'm just going to add little yellow stripes. Just wherever you feel like. A few big ones, tall ones, short ones. Not all over, just kind of drop them in here and there. Sometimes apples have these random little yellow streaks and spots on them. And there we go. What do you guys think? Is this a Monet apple?
No, this is Patrick.